Good evening, everybody. Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com, live in Lion Tree Arena here in either San Diego or La Jolla, California. I'm not entirely sure which borough I'm in, which municipality, if you will, town, city, whether it's San Diego or La Jolla or La Jolla, however they pronounce it around here. I don't know, but Purdue just beat North Carolina State 71-61 in the opening of the Rady Children's Invitational here at Cal San Diego. I'm in one of their facilities as BYU and Ole Miss wrap up out there on the court. This is your goldenblack.com wrap video. It is brought to you by our friends at the Purdue Union Club Hotel, who do not have, apparently, despite my pursuits, do not have a location here in either San Diego or La Jolla or La Jolla, however you want to pronounce it. They really should. Anyway, so Purdue wins 71-61 here at Lion Tree Arena, and it was a classic effort game, if you ask me. I think Purdue played really hard. They played with great energy, and, you know, it is different observing a game when you're right on the sideline, and I was right under one of the baskets. You realize how hard guys play. And I don't know if it's always that way or you just notice it more when you're right there. But Purdue was playing really, really freaking hard. And they were really rebounding and they were really being physical. And it's exactly what they have to do. It's exactly what they have to do to overcome some of the deficits on paper that this team might have on paper. That's traditional size, that's physicality, that's a dominant defensive rebounder. The things you took for granted before when that he who shall not be named, because there's no sense in talking about him anymore, was around. Purdue's got to do it collectively now. They got to do it by everybody giving a little bit more. They have to be really physical. They have to be really active, really anticipatory, and really relentless. And I think that's exactly what you saw from Purdue. In this game, they clocked NC State on the boards by 10. And if you saw the first 4 minutes of this game, it was, man, they're going to have a hell of a time with that Huntley fellow. I can't remember his name. BHH, I've been calling him. Because he's big and strong and physical, and he was giving Purdue problems. And from there on out, it was like the game, like the first 4 minute segment of the game was the cons of small ball. And I hate calling it small ball because Camden Heide is not small. Coffman Ren is not small. They're smallish stylistically, but they're not small people. But the first 4 minutes were like the cons column of playing small ball. The next 4 minutes, the next 8 minutes were all the pros of playing small ball because Purdue went from being, I thought NC State took it to them physically a little bit to start the game. Their size showed up a little bit more than Purdue's did. But then after that, Purdue got in the open floor. They started playing fast. They started making threes. And that's what flipped the whole game. So it was kind of an interesting little microcosm of the pluses and minuses, the ebb and flow, whatever contradictory terms you'd want to use about the differing basketball styles. But, you know, the quote-unquote small ball won out, obviously. Camden Heide really changed the game in transition, I thought. And I don't think that's a take. I think that's fact. Those two transition plays he made really sparked his team, but there were also 5 really important points that Purdue didn't really have to work all that hard for. Purdue did a great job in this game scoring off of NC State's turnovers. They did a really good job just getting easy offense. They got some putbacks. They got a lot of free throws off of getting to the bonus quickly. And I think in the second half, Purdue would have had a much bigger cushion to open the half. Maybe not much bigger, but they would have had a cushion as opposed to one single point had Coffman Ren not picked up that second foul with 5.5 minutes to go, essentially benching him for all but the final possession of the first half. Had he stayed in the game through that, Purdue would have had probably 4 or 5 more points going into halftime. Would have been up a couple possessions most likely. But he made up for lost time when he came back out for the second half. On Thanksgiving, he came out very hungry. He came out and he just hunted their big guys on the wings, into post-ups, things like that. Purdue ran offense to get him the ball where he wanted it, and he went at these dudes. Middlebrooks, Ben Middlebrooks, the kid from last year, one of the 4 guys on this team who was in the national semifinal last year, and then the Huntley kid, whose name I can't remember. Too many syllables. Coffman Ren went at those guys, and not only did he just beat them with his post savvy and his craftiness, but he just physically dominated those dudes. Again, I'm 10 feet away. I can see the sweat coming off their faces. I can hear the unholy, unhuman, unnatural sound it makes when one body hits the other. And Trey Coffman Ren was the physical force in this game. You don't really think about him that way because, he's such an old man game type of guy. He's such an up and under, an angle-driven sort of post scorer, but he punked those guys out to the point where I kind of jokingly wrote, NC State wants Edie back, because that's the level of physical dominance I thought Trey Coffman Ren imposed to open that second half, and this was a star turn sort of game for him. I think he had 24 points. Hold on, I don't have printed box scores here, and I can't open up a browser when I'm filming here. He had, you probably already know this, you've already answered in your head. You'd think I'd know this, 22 points. When it came time to put the game away, he had 2 assists in the final few minutes, both to Camden-Heide, who's becoming a real wing weapon here. He's not just a piece of the offensive puzzle. He's becoming that guy, that cutter, that dynamic three-point shooter, that transition weapon, and just becoming a real weapon for Purdue. I've always kind of viewed him as sort of a piece in terms of his place in the offensive structure, but also the things you need from him in terms of rebounding, positional defense, versatile defense, things like that. But he's becoming a really, really nice weapon for Purdue too. And you saw that as Purdue put the game away. He had one cut to the basket for a dunk from Coffman Ren, who's becoming a really good passer. And then obviously the inside-out three-pointer he made too that was maybe the shot that ended all NC State hopes in this game. Purdue just did a great job rebounding in this game. I think I've already mentioned that, but it bears repeating. And I think when you have a low IQ team like NC State who shoots badly but just keeps shooting, they just keep shooting threes, and they keep missing them, sometimes badly. Those are the games you worry about because you got guys who can do ISO stuff. Ball goes up, those long rebounds come to that team. All of a sudden, you're scrambling. Those dudes can go make a play. That could have been a real pathway for NC State, but it never really materialized because Purdue got those loose balls. They got those long rebounds. They got their own offensive rebounds. They kept plays alive. They were on the floor for loose balls. They were throwing their bodies around, rebounding. They were anticipating misses and cutting in the space. Camden-Heide did that once. Jakari Harris did it another time after he missed 2 consecutive three-pointers. For him to stay engaged in that way, in that moment, speaks volumes to his level-headedness as a freshman and his ability to do little winning things. That's really, really going to be an asset for Purdue kind of throughout the entirety of his Purdue career. You're seeing real substance from this Purdue team right now. NC State is not great, but the way Purdue won this game was really, really impressive. The winning stuff that Purdue did to navigate a 1-point lead at halftime that could have been much more, and then just pulling away and then running away and hiding at the end. Masterclass press break stuff at the end too, by the way, just absolute dominance. This was a really impressive win for Purdue. This was not like a seed line win for Purdue, but it was a making par sort of game in terms of the win. But it's how they won. that I think was more significant than that they won. And that's often the case in November. But Purdue has done some really, really good and impressive substantive sort of stuff here. You've seen real growth, real development among some of these guys into more complete players. You've seen, I said before the season, Purdue's upside from day one till the end of the year lied in Daniel Jacobson. That's obviously a moot point now. But also Cam Heide and Miles Colvin developing into something more than they were before, something more substantive than they were before, not just being the dunks and threes guys, but being defenders, being rebounders, being hustlers. Not that kind of hustler. Just winning players. And I think those guys have really, really done that. That's been a really, really notable thing about Purdue's season thus far, is those year one to year two guys have really, really done positive things, developing into more meaningful, substantive players. And that really came to bear in this game here today against NC State. So tomorrow it'll be Ole Miss or BYU. By the time you watch this, you probably know which one. But they're out there still screwing around when they know I need the court to do my video. And they just keep wanting to play basketball and trying to win. So I found a workaround right here. So that's what I got. Following Purdue's 71-61 win over NC State. This is Brian Neubert from goldenblack.com. Thank you to the Premium Club Hotel for your support as always. We will look forward to your grand opening in La Jolla or La Jolla or San Diego, wherever I am right now. Southern California. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials. However it is you process our materials. And you stay classy, San Diego. I've been waiting all week to say that.